So, can a cow predict a disaster before it destroys civilizations? Sounds insane, but evidence tells the same. Because some real disasters, like 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that killed about 230,000 people, killed zero animals. Many local people reported that they have seen cattle flee towards high-altitude areas. Elephant refused to go near beaches, birds flying towards inland. These are the signs of something psychic, paranormal ability animals possess, but it is just simple biology. There are different signals Earth gives before giving a disaster to us.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
Animals simply detect these signals and respond to them. The question now arises that what are those signals and how animals interpret them? And most importantly, can we trust animals and prevent human deaths in a catastrophe? The story begins from 373 BC, ancient Greece, which reports first case of animals reacting differently before natural disasters. Rats, snakes, and dogs reportedly fled the city before a massive earthquake struck. People at time were surely astonished. Seeing this, they may have thought of godly power in rats. Another instance occurred from 1855 Japan, where a fisherman noticed unusually restless catfish before a major earthquake. This story then fit into a Japanese urban legend giant about a underground catfish Namazu that causes earthquakes. Japan has pretty scary urban legends, this not being one of them. Now, the questions arises that how animals do so. How are they such capable of predicting disasters? P-wave detection. Every earthquake sends out two types of waves. Small P waves that arrive first, and these are mostly unnoticeable. S waves that are slower, but far more destructive. These are the ones that destroys buildings. Animals feel the P wave arriving through their paws or body and react with alarm or flight, seconds before humans feel anything. This is not prediction. They're just reacting to early tremor in real time, like a smoke detector detecting smoke before fire. The problem with P waves is that they arrive only seconds before earthquake, so shouting, "Run" is not a good evacuation plan. This makes P-waves mostly useless. So let's talk about something that gives much more time. Foreshock activity. Many big earthquakes are preceded by tiny micro-earthquakes called foreshocks, too small for humans to notice. Animals with superior vibration sensitivity can feel these. A massive 2018 study analyzed 700+ animals' behavior. Most animals reacted to the foreshock activity. The problem? Foreshocks don't always occur before an earthquake, which makes it comparable to a fire alarm that gives warning when it feels like practically not useful. Third cause is most fascinating. The ionization theory explains that when tectonic plates, the plate's Earth's surface is made up of grind together before earthquake, it releases positively charged particles. These travel up the rock through surface. At the surface, they transfer their charge to the air. Animals inhale this air, triggering a massive release of stress hormone in their blood, causing severe stress and panic, and a desperate need to flee. This would explain why animals sometimes act strange days before a quake. Not because they feel the ground shaking, but because they're having a chemically induced panic attack from breathing ionized air. So what we know as sixth sense is just animals being high on positively charged particles. Some studies are also conducted to understand more about animal behavior. The L'Aquila toads, 2009, a British biologist named Rachel Grant was studying toad mating habits in rural Italy. Routine science, no drama. She had absolutely no idea what was about to happen. What she didn't know was that 74 kilometers away, a magnitude 6.3 earthquake was quietly building underground and was about to strike. For context, in general, male toads never leave their pool during mating season, but 5 days before the earthquake, 96% of the toads left their pool. The mating activity dropped to zero, and toads didn't return until 10 days after the quake. This must have made frogs sad, but being alive is more important, I guess. This was one-of-a-kind discovery, having 4 years of baseline data, making it very reliable. It is crazy to think how a science girl researching mating habits of toads ended up discovering running habits of toads. The Italian Farm Animals 2020 Italian researcher Martin Witkowski had a simple idea. One nervous animal probably means nothing. But what about an entire nervous farm? So he attached accelerometers to 6 cows, 5 sheep, and 2 dogs. The data revealed that animals show abnormal activity 1 to 20 hours before earthquake, and that the closer they are to quake's epicenter, the faster animals reacted. They even built a prototype warning system. If collective activity stayed high for 45+ minutes, it triggered a warning. Cool engineering. They got one warning, and a small earthquake hit directly beneath the farm 3 hours later. Working engineering. But earthquakes are harder to predict for both human-created machines and biological animals. The signals are much more strong and predictable for weather disasters, like thunderstorms and hurricanes, the golden-winged warblers and tornadoes. 2014, Tennessee. April 2014. A group of warblers, each weighing roughly 4 coins, just arrived after a 5,000 kilometers migration from South America. After having one of the most exhausting journeys of Animal Kingdom, birds set up their territory in hope of getting some rest. But they had to abandon their place as they detected a tornado. The tornado was about to strike. No rest for the hard worker. They flew about 1,500 kilometers to avoid the storm. How did they know about the tornado? Infrasound. Tornadoes generate ultra-low frequency sound waves, and birds can easily hear these types of waves. They essentially heard the storm roaring from 500 plus miles away and decided fleeing was worth it. Birds must have thought that if life remains, rest remains. Sharks and hurricanes. Florida, 2001. Researchers tracking black-tipped sharks in shallow coastal waters noticed something strange. Every time a major storm approached, the sharks vanished, like the invisible man. Not during the storm, before it, perfectly timed with the drop in air pressure as the hurricane built offshore. Sharks detect these pressure changes through their inner ears, essentially a built-in radar. This behavior repeated identically before multiple storms that occurred across 16 years of observation. How early did they predict it, you may ask? 17 days. A shark gave more advance warning than most weather apps.
So smart, me.
This is the most consistent and reliable animal disaster behavior ever recorded, and honestly, it's not even close.
So smart, me.
But some supposed to be success. Stories do not always convert to reality. In 1975 China, Chinese authorities evacuated 1 million people before a predicted earthquake due to a combination of animal behavior, foreshocks, and groundwater changes. Because of this, only approx 2,000 people died instead of estimated 150,000. That is very interesting. Sounds like a proof of concept, right? Wrong. In 1976, China, a magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck with zero warning. No foreshock, no animal behavior change, nothing. It killed about 250,000 people. This tells that without foreshocks, the whole system of prediction fails in case of earthquakes. Animals are not some super animals having groundbreaking ability to detect every future disasters, but they are extraordinarily sensitive sensors built by millions of years of evolution. Animal responses are highly reliable for weather disasters. For earthquakes, evidence is real but localized. Not so reliable. You cannot evacuate a city because of a barking dog. That concludes the video. Like, share, subscribe with bell if you watched this long, and liked my content. See you in the next one.